Hello, everybody, and welcome to the third scheduled of 5 virtual business workshops in our 2023 series. My name is Michael Casale. I'm the Commissioner of the Niagara County Department of Economic Development. And before we get started, I thought we would do our normal housekeeping items for everybody. You are all going to be muted throughout the presentation. If you have a question, please use the Q&A panel at the bottom of the screen, and we will answer your questions at the end of our program. If we cannot answer all the questions in our allotted time, we will follow up afterwards and get you the information that you need. Today's workshop is designed to give you an overview of the various programs that are out there. We would be more than happy to schedule a one-on-one meeting with you to discuss any of the programs that you're about to hear in more detail. Just let us know again in the Q&A panel, and we will make sure that we reach back out to you. And before I introduce our presenters today, I want to let you know that if you missed our earlier workshops that discussed local business resources, as well as state and federal programs for businesses, you can go to our website, and our website is www.niagaracountybusiness.com and click on the About Us tab, and then you'll go to that featured events page that you see right here on your screen, and you'll be able to watch a recording of those workshops. We will also be conducting 2 more content-specific workshops later in the year. We'll have more details on those following this morning's workshop. You'll also be able to register for those workshops that are coming up a little bit later up on the featured events page. Again, if you have any questions, you can always contact me or Kathy Sinor in my office. My contact info is right there on this particular slide. Today's workshop is going to focus on workforce development and training. And I'd like to thank our presenters for their valuable time this morning. And I'd like to introduce them to you. First up will be Mark Laurie, who is superintendent. Hey, Mark, of the Niagara Falls City School District. Don Jablonski, director of Niagara County Employment and Training. Dennis Martinez, regional coordinator for business engagement, Access VR. Mary Alice Torba from Niagara County Community College, the director of workforce development. Hopefully will be joining us sometime very soon. And Maureen Bartnett, coordinator for adult education at Orleans Niagara BOCES. Reminder quickly, you don't need to stress out by taking a bunch of notes. We're going to be sending you an email soon after this morning's workshop, which will contain the slide deck that you're about to see from all of our presenters. And this slide deck will contain active links for you to click on to contact our presenters. So that'll make it easy for you. You don't have to go nuts taking notes. So let's get right at it. First up is Mark Laurie, superintendent of the Niagara Falls City School District, who will discuss an exciting program designed to help guide students on the best pathway to post-secondary success and to build that pipeline that's so sorely needed in the business world. So Mark, take it away.
Thanks, Mike. You read ground rules better than anybody I've ever heard.
Oh, well, thank you.
Your voice you are ground rule ready with your voice. It is wonderful. I can listen to you read ground rules any day of the week. You're very good at that. I know you must have another career. So thank you for having me. This presentation starts with one premise that we have to understand, agree, and that premise is that every student, at least Niagara Falls High School, and there are 2,000 of them, are not going to go to college. And until we all realize it, I think the people on this call and others do, and until the state education department realizes it, we're going to continue to have a pipeline problem for employment and a lack of people to fill necessary jobs. So we have created together with the high school a program called PS2. It means post-secondary success. It is I think our ethical, moral, and professional obligation to prepare kids for a warm handoff that are not going to college. We certainly have every pathway imaginable to go to college, but if kids are not going to college out of high school, we have to give them a career and not a job. And I'll use the example that I use frequently. Everybody on this call, I'm sure had a job when they were growing up. Working at Mighty Taco, which I frequent far too often, is a job. A career is something that you're all doing right now. It has meaningful work, meaningful benefits, a good wage scale, and it's productive to the world economy. Nothing wrong with Mighty Taco, but we are preparing kids for careers, and we have to do that. And that's what post-secondary success is designed to do, to have, hopefully at the graduation ceremony this year, the distribution of a diploma that not only says you're earning a Regents or Advanced Regents diploma, but you're also getting an endorsement that says you have X number of hours and you're a certified nursing assistant. You are a welder. You have 30 college credits. You are going to be working in the field of mortuary science. So that those are not contracted lifelong commitments, but at least we've given a pathway to give a warm handoff to every student. And that pathway has to start in fourth, fifth, and sixth grade. It can't start in seventh, eighth, or ninth grade. It's far too early. The pathway doesn't have to be determined that early, but we have to expose kids, students, that early to the opportunities that are out there. As early, in my opinion, is fourth and fifth grade. And that's something that we're trying to do. So as you see on the slide, and I'm not going to read these, it's connecting kids to the real world. And we are letting students out of school as juniors and seniors very early in the day to go to career, not job exploration, career exploration. So we're not letting them go to McDonald's, but we are letting them go to a trade union hall or Du Bois Funeral Home or Olin or Voss Manufacturing. We'll let them go to those places. Okay, Kath. We currently have, it really is up, it really was closer to 14,000 hours of real work experience. We have over 50 partners. We can't do this without the business world, the business partners. It doesn't matter where they come from. We have we have 4 dedicated school liaisons that are not only working with the kids to find out what their interests are and using a program called Zello, but we're working with partners in job manufacturing and job exploration so that you can have a possible match. The other thing I want to say on this slide is, because I hear it all the time, we aren't teaching career and financial management skills. Again, I think the state education department is behind, but every ninth grader at Niagara Falls High School takes a full year of career and financial management. What is that? It's everything that we hear kids need to know, from balancing their checkbook to knowing the value of benefits, to knowing the value of how to pay a mortgage, et cetera, et cetera. Anything you could figure out in that realm is taught by a business teacher to all ninth graders. In 10th graders, there's a half-year course, and that career and financial management course lines up much more with their potential pathway. Thanks, Kathy. We also have very strong dual enrollment programs. The real untold story of Niagara Falls High School is that we had a student last year who graduated with 63 college credits. 63 college credits. And in a time when kids are living in an instant gratification world, they need to have college credits in their pocket. So we have a junior law enforcement academy, for instance, that's paired with Niagara County Community College, and you can earn college credits while taking junior law enforcement. And what do you do in junior law enforcement? You follow the same curriculum as the law enforcement academy does, which will soon be at NCCC, as well as the phys ed. Your phys ed mirrors the tasks that a law enforcement official would have to pass to be ready to go into law enforcement, and you earn college credits. We also have two very strong P-TECH programs. The one P-TECH program is in industrial manufacturing. We have 106 students in that pipeline. Those students are guaranteed an interview at one of our manufacturing partners, which include places like Olin and Moog, and they're earning college credits. The goal is for those students on graduation day to give them a high school diploma and an associate's degree at the same time. And we get a tremendous subscription because the parents get involved when they see that these are college credits that they don't have to pay for. So from Bryant Stratton to Buff State to Niagara to NCCC to Damon, and notice Stanford, that's our newest partner. That is Stanford in Palo Alto, California. That course is artificial intelligence. They can partner they partner with us, and you can get 3 Stanford college credits by joining that class. We have 15 students in that an artificial intelligence program, but that speaks to the quality of our partners. Okay, Kat. This is a short video just to show you, it's 1 minute. It just shows you some of our kids at work. So thank you, Kathy. So you could see just to highlight, you saw Junior Law Enforcement Academy kids with the sheriff's department and the police with the dog. You saw welders. You saw people at the M&T Bank Tech Hub in Buffalo. There's a person at Starry Night Cafe. You saw people with riding the horses. We have a real flourishing a number of students who want to be veterinarians. It's and you saw that video, people at the parks, New York State parks. We will put kids anywhere and everywhere. Rooney Funeral Home just caught my eye on this slide because we have 2 girls right now who want to be into mortuary science. So anywhere and everywhere kids want to go, we're putting them out there so that when they hit graduation, they're going to have a warm handoff into a career. I see dentistry on here. You can just see this is just a very small representative of the businesses that work with us. Again, it's all in an effort to fill the pipeline of workers and to get kids prepared for that warm handoff. I'm cognizant of time. If you're out there and you're a business, all I'd ask you to do is contact me. I'll put you in touch with our liaisons. I really believe this is the way that we have to sustain public education. There's a beautiful QR code that you can scan, and it goes right to our liaisons, and you can become a partner. We want to get our hours up over 20,000 this year, and we want to add another 25 partners for kids to have access to. Couple of last statements. Don't believe that we don't teach soft skills in an isolated environment in the classroom. Those soft skills are taught when kids go to the environment that they're shadowing in, externing in, interning in, and our job coach will then debrief. We don't just send them out to you and say, good luck, have a good time. We send a job coach with them. We do debriefing with them. We talk to you, we work it out. But I also have to say, these are not just one-off drive-bys. This requires you to take and keep a student for 1 or 2 years. We've had some tremendous success stories with kids getting jobs at 19 and 20 years old right out of high school, and they're paying good money. I think this is the model that all schools need to go to. I'm appreciative of what BOCES does. I think ours is a little bit different, is that we start in 4th and 5th grade, and we start to match up those introductory presentations there. BOCES still has a big role in certain programs for us, cosmetology, auto mechanics, etc. We're just trying to expand those offerings and put every student in a place where they will have an endorsement or a card on their diploma. We have 6 direct entry agreements with 6 trade unions. You know about all the construction that's going on. If you're a black or brown student or a female and you go through our trades program, you walk right in at 18-year-old as an apprentice. If you're a white student and you go through our trades program, you walk in with your points through the Department of Labor. Our groups are very representative of the diversity of our school. As a matter of fact, in our programs, right to the trades, 50% of them are women, 50% of them are young men. It mirrors our 60% minority ratio in the district. So it's closer to 52% of the kids in these programs are black and brown and other minorities. The rest of them are white. So it gives a really good representation of varied and diverse populations. We're proud of the program. We're going to continue to grow this by adding more hours, more kids, and more liaisons to match kids up. I moved as quickly as I could because I want to be respectful of other people's time. I just say thank you to Mike and Kathy for having us, and I hope you found something interesting there. Thank you.
Mark, thank you so very, very much. Your program is a program whose time has come, and we really appreciate you sharing all that information. Hopefully some very, very important information for some of our participants that are on with us today. Next up, our next presenter is Don Jablonski, who's the director of the Niagara County Department of Employment and Training, who's going to discuss the many workforce development and training resources that are available through Niagara's WorkSource One. So Don, take it away.
Thank you, Mike. I certainly do appreciate the introduction. And I'll tell you what, Mark, you're a hard act, tough act to follow. And I applaud the what you're doing in your outreach to kids as young as 9 and 10 years old. At Employment and Training here at the Workforce One, we start kids out as young as 14, where we'll put them into a work experience and find them their first job. And you're right, you can't teach soft skills in a vacuum. So what we end up doing is we have 39 business partners that we put these kids to work, and they start teaching them right from day one. So I appreciate it, and we're trying to do our part as well. And many of the kids that we put to work are from Niagara Falls School District. So thank you for the partnership. I want to just take a few minutes to talk about what we do in terms of workforce training. Kathy, you can take the next slide. Niagara County Employment Training and Niagara's WorkSource One offers several different programs. The first one is on-the-job training. This is funding to reimburse a business up to 75% of startup costs, up to $5,000 a salary, to train folks, whether they need to fill their skills gap or something that they're brand new off the street. We know with the gray tsunami that's hitting, that the workforce is really thinning out, especially in the trades and in advanced manufacturing. So this has become a valuable asset. We paid over $105,000 training stipends to businesses, and I'm happy to say that we actually ran out of money last year. It's been so popular. Matt, we reloaded for this year, and we're already up to 39 new ones. So that's something that we're very proud of. And if anybody wants to take advantage of this that's out in the audience today, please don't hesitate to contact me, and I will put you in touch with one of our counselors. The next thing is that we offer customized training funds. Back up just a little bit, Kath. And that will assist in, if you have a new machine or a new computer program that you need to install, this will pay up to 50% for the trainer. not the salaries. This is for the trainer. So this is something else that we offer. We've actually had a couple of businesses take advantage of this. So it's something that's valuable, but it's a niche market type of thing. Next slide, Kath. The next thing we offer is recruitment tools, and there are many of them. We hold weekly recruitment events at our one-stop center at the Trot Building, for those of you that don't know where we're located. We get up to 30 interested candidates to discuss company opportunities. We can't fit any more into a conference room, so that's why we limit it to 30. Our professional opportunity developers group meets once every 2 weeks. That's mid and upper management candidates. That's a very select and small group. But believe it or not, there are accountants and engineers and other professionals out there looking for work, and they get snapped up pretty quick once they join our group, and there are no headhunter fees involved. We also promote and post everyone's job openings. If you have a job opening or multiple job openings, please get in touch with us. We have several avenues that we can advertise your jobs. First and foremost is our hot jobs page of our website. The second thing is the Western New York Job Bank posts all of our jobs, and that reaches out to a myriad of different places, up to including the New York State Job Bank. And that's where the Indeeds and the Glassdoors of the world start poaching our postings. So you actually get that for free. You don't even have to pay that. So you can rest assured that you'll get maximum exposure for your job openings. Some additional resources that you might want to really take advantage of is, number one, is our career fairs. We hold 3 or 4 of them outdoor every year. We just finished one in Lockport. We had 70 businesses attend and 208 legitimate job seekers. And to date, we have 19 hires that we can document. So they do work. We have one coming up at the 27th of September here. Over at Oppenheim Park. We already have 70 businesses signed up, and we're recruiting from a whole bunch of different sources, up to and including our partners at the Department of Labor. They're unemployed. They're required to show up. Our Department of Social Services, people that we advertise and we get off the street that come through our career centers. A couple of other additional resources is our Disability Resource Coordinator Program. This is something that we rely a lot on our next presenter, Dennis Martinez, who does a phenomenal job with those resources and that particular set of potential employees. The next thing we will do also is that the previously incarcerated, we'll work with our Department of Probation, and we will, instead of having those folks go back into the prison system, we will actually pay up to $5,000 of salary to onboard somebody with skills that wants to change their life. And there have been a number of employers that have reported great success with that program. So those are additional things that we can do for a business. Next slide, Kath. Last but not least, we can review qualifications of applicants that we have. That's okay, you can leave it there. And we can feature resumes on our Niagara's Talent, and you can actually go ahead and request these resumes, and we will give you full contact information. We will also screen potential applicants if you want us to match your specifications. We'll always hold open interview sessions if you want to come in, and we'll do it either here or we can do it in our satellite office in Lockport. And then we also offer pre-employment and literacy or skills training. That's just a quick overview. I wanted to make sure that I was cognizant of everybody else's time. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me, as our contact information is on the slides. There it is. Thank you, everybody, for your time.
Thank you, Don. Very, very important department you got there, especially when you're talking economic development. Like we've always said, economic development and workforce development, you don't have one without the other. They are intertwined. And like Don said, if you don't forget, if you have a question for any of our panelists, please use that Q&A panel at the bottom of the screen, and we'll answer your questions at the end of the program. Next up, our next presenter is Dennis Martinez, Regional Coordinator for Business Engagement with Access VR. He's going to be talking about some of the Access VR business services programs. Dennis, you're up.
Hi. Thank you, Mike and Don. I just want to say that I'm a graduate of Niagara Falls High School, so whatever programs that they do in Niagara Falls now, they didn't have when I graduated there, but I still managed to graduate. Anyway, Access VR is part of the workforce development system. We work with people with disabilities. Vocational rehabilitation is a program. People always ask me, is this a new program? And I say, no, it started in 1920. It's been around for more than 100 years. It's funded by the federal government, and it exists in every state of the United States. Some are managed differently depending on what state you're in. It often has a different name. In Pennsylvania, it's called the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation. We used to be called that too, but now we're called Access VR. Next slide. What do? We help people with disabilities to become employed. There's a big cloud, I guess, of misinformation about people with disabilities. The general public community has misinformation that ranges from people with disabilities can only do certain types of jobs. People with disabilities are people in wheelchairs, all kinds of stuff. Most of that information is inaccurate. We work with folks that have certainly people that use wheelchairs, but the largest part of the individuals we work with, you would never know they had a disability. They're the people with hidden disabilities. And do people with disabilities, are they limited to certain kinds of jobs? No. We help people with disabilities in all kinds of career pathways, from entry-level unskilled workers all the way up to professional, managerial people. How do we help people with disabilities? By removing those barriers that the disabilities prevent or impede people from becoming gainfully employed. And how do we do that? We do that through a variety of means, including counseling and guidance and training and education. Access VR can help individuals with disabilities obtain 2-year degrees, certificate program, all the way up to 4-year degrees, and even in some cases, masters and doctorates. So we really run the gamut of education, and we prepare people for all kinds of occupations. We can also help folks that come to us who are interested in starting their own business. So we can help fund startup costs for small businesses, which we do on a regular basis as well. Next slide. Okay, so we have 2 customers. We have the people that come to us who want to work, who have a disability, who need training or other services to help them overcome those obstacles that are imposed by their impairments. And our other customer is the business community, because we have people that have been trained and are ready for work. So we have to help find them jobs. And by working with the business community, we can obtain jobs for people that we have trained. And we also provide different services to the business community. We're a link with all the other workforce development programs and opportunities. And we can help bring an extensive support system to businesses and employees within those businesses, and we can save you money. Every year, Access VR places over 12,000, actually this slide says 13,000 people a year in jobs throughout New York State. So, I mean, we do a lot of work with businesses in that regard. Next slide. Okay, so some of the beyond the job-ready people that are interested and willing and ready and happy to go to work, which is our main focus, we can also sweeten the pot a little bit with some financial incentives. One of those is a federal tax credit called the WOTC, or the Work Opportunity Tax Credit. The WOTC is a federal program. It's administered by the Labor Department, and it involves certain target groups, including people who have received vocational rehabilitation services within the last 2 years, actually. And that can provide up to $2,400 in federal tax savings during the first year of employment. So for every individual with a disability that meets these criteria that you would hire, you would be eligible to receive a federal tax credit of $2,400. Next slide. And then in the second year of employment, there's another tax credit called the WETC, which is a New York State tax credit, and that kicks in and provides up to $2,100 in tax savings for New York State taxes. And that has the same criteria. People with disabilities who have been in our program within the last 2 years. So if you put those two things together, you'll get the next slide, which is the potential tax savings of $4,500, $2,400 for the feds, $2,100 for the state, a total of $4,500 per individual hired. Next slide. We have wage reimbursement programs too. Even though this slide says work tryout continued, it seems to suggest that there was a slide missing, but in this case, I can describe the program. The program is a work tryout. It's focusing on people trying jobs. It gives an employer a bit of incentive to maybe give somebody an opportunity to test out their work abilities. It's a wage reimbursement program that will reimburse wages. There is no maximum number of salary or wages involved. Minimum would have to be at least minimum wage, and it would reimburse the employer up to 480 hours of work, which works out at 40 hours a week to like 3 months, 100% of the gross wages paid. So what would happen is you would try an individual, you put them on payroll, you give them the same work as anybody else in that job title, and you enter into an agreement with Access VR to allow that person to do that job in exchange for 100% of reimbursement. If at the end of the agreed upon period of up to 3 months, you find that this individual is working out okay, you get the 100% wage reimbursement. If at the end of the period up to 3 months, if you find that that individual is not up to snuff, it's sort of a probationary kind of a thing, and you find that they're not working out, you submit your bill and we pay you 100% of that individual's wages. So it's really a no risk or minimum risk situation for an employer who may or may not be 100% sold on the individual, or if the individual has not a lot of experience, but a good work ethic and really wants to give it a shot. So that's the work tryout. Work tryout can be used in conjunction with our next slide, which is on the job training. You heard Mr. Jablonski talk about their OJTs. They do a wonderful job with OJTs. Their OJTs are Cadillacs, if you had to compare them to motor vehicles. Our OJTs are Maseratis. We have a wage reimbursement program that is based upon training. The employer provides training to do the job. It is 100% wage reimbursement for up to 26 weeks. There is no upper limit for wages, and we never run out of money. I should say that by knocking on wood, but the program has no limits that way. So if you wanted to train an individual to do a job who has received some, maybe completed a course, let's say in welding, and you want to put them on the job as a welder, but they need some more specifics, you train them to do your job as a welder, we'll reimburse you 100% of wages. Let's for a minute just go back, but not on the slides, but just go back in our thinking of the work tryout. Let's say that individual didn't perform up to snuff, and you didn't really want to let them go, but you felt that they had potential. We could pair the work tryout with an OJT program and continue the wage reimbursement for up to 26 weeks. Let's say that you had an individual that was learning a job, but it was going to take more than 26 weeks to learn that job. We could extend the OJT beyond 26 weeks. The only difference would be the wage reimbursement would fall to 50% after 26 weeks. So that would be another incentive. Next slide. Okay, and that's just a recap of the on-the-job training. So reimbursement 100% gross wages up to 26 weeks based on the individual's ability to acquire the necessary skills to achieve job competency. And those are the resources that we use to determine what the length of the OJT would look like. Next slide. Okay, our additional business services are worker retention services. Someone, I think it was Don, talked about the gray tsunami. We have an aging workforce. People that are currently employed are more likely to develop disabling conditions that may affect their ability to do the job competently. And AccessVR can assist with overcoming some of those impairments. I can give you an example. Several years ago, we worked with a company in Olean it's a nationally known company. They make knives, high quality knives. They do a lot of sales of those knives through telemarketing. They had an individual who was a long-term employee. She was an excellent employee. She was losing her hearing because of her age, and she was having difficulty using a headset to talk on the telephone. So the employer tried a lot of things on their own, adaptive equipment that they bought over the counter. Nothing really worked very well. So they contacted AccessVR. The individual signed up for our services. We went in and did a worksite evaluation with the Center for Assistive Technology at the University of Buffalo, and they came up with a adaptive piece of equipment that worked really well with the individual's hearing aids and the telephone system. She was able to retain her position thanks to our intervention. The employer was happy. They purchased the equipment under the ADA, and the individual, everyone lived happily ever after. So that's an example of where we're worker retention services. Next slide. Okay, so finally, we can also do training. As I mentioned initially, there's a lot of misinformation and a big stigma around people with disabilities. You think of people in wheelchairs, there's one in this picture. But again, most people with disabilities do not use wheelchairs. Most people with disabilities can do a variety of jobs. It's not just limited to entry-level kinds of unskilled work. So we can help educate your workforce about disability awareness and disability etiquette issues and ADA issues. We're not lawyers and we're not an enforcement agency, but we can give people general information that would help alleviate those concerns that may prevent you from hiring someone or may prevent your staff from being accepting of a person with a disability or making them more comfortable in their new job. And we can design a program based upon information that we obtain through the ADA Center at Cornell University to your needs for any type of disability awareness training. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, it's free of charge. Contact us and we will we'll design something from an hour or so up to a whole day of training on those topics. And I believe there might be one more slide. Go ahead, Kath. Yes, these are some resources for the tax credits that I mentioned and some other resources for you for incentives, financial incentives. And again, if you're interested in hiring somebody or having more information or training, you can reach out to me. My contact information was on the beginning slide, and everybody will get a chance to have this recorded session, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, okay, all right. So that's all I got. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dennis. And yeah, everyone's going to get these slides. So like I said, no need to go nuts taking notes. You'll see Dennis's contact information on that initial slide. Our next presenter is Mary Alice Torba. And Mary Alice is Director of Workforce Development at NCCC. She's going to talk about the many programs for employers, as well as NCCC's Small Business Development Center. So Mary Alice, take it away.
Thank you. Next slide, please. Thanks. So as I talk about workforce, or as I talk about Niagara County Community College, there are multiple areas within the college that are able to help employers, both in retention of employees and also in funding and other resources for training too. So next slide. The first of those is what most people think of when they think of the college. It's what we call the credit side of education. It is people who are seeking degrees or certificates generally. It's what people think of when they hear the two-year degree. There are a lot of assets on that side in order to help employers, and some of those include training. So we certainly have programs where we train students, and those programs we have employers who sometimes send students for an associate degree. They may have a student who needs a class in accounting. They may have a student or a employee who needs to brush up on skills in areas that we have, and they may send and pay for the student to come in and learn those skills. So we do have that. Through the credit side, we have internships. A lot of times, I'm going to talk in a little while about apprenticeships, but there are internship programs through the credit side of education. So our business program would have business interns. Our accounting program would have accounting interns. All of our students are eligible for a job experience as they come through NCCC, and those programs are able to place students in, which alleviates some of the duties or some of the help situations for employers. It gives you a chance to see what the student can do and possibly hire that student too. A lot of students do get hired out of an internship situation. I used to work on the credit side of education for many years, and I used to see quite a few students get hired out of internships. So that's a really um, good partnership with an employer and a good way to feel out a student and see if they're right for your company. That and at no cost, or some employers actually do choose to pay interns students, and it changes a little bit of the requirements for the internship, but that's available too. And then the last thing on the credit side that I think is helpful for employers is our career services area. Um, I field a lot of calls from employers looking for employees, but our career services area is set up to do that. They have a electronic job board where you can post any openings you have for either our graduates or students who may be attending school and looking for a job as well. They have career fairs. They set up interview situations for employers. They help employers recruit students. So there are like employee recruitment days too, where people can come on, a business can come on campus and then be able to set up and recruit employees. And so those are good things as well. I put the links both for our programs so you could see the list of programs we have. It's quite extensive in areas. And I also added the link for our career services area that has a ton of employer resources. And you can see those there and find out who to contact, how to contact them. There's all the contact and information on that site. And so that's pretty easy for you to do. And if you need, you can reach out to me as well, and I will get you over to that and help you with that information as well. Next slide. I'm trying to move pretty quickly because we have a short period of time. What I mentioned, that internships are a little different from apprentices. Interns would be a student going to school in one of our career programs who would go out into the workforce. We're training them, and then they go out into the workforce and they work for you either for a little while, or if you choose to hire them, they may end up staying with you. Apprentices are a little bit different. Apprentices are an employee who already works at the company. So, for instance, if you're a business and you're looking to hire a machinist, but you have someone working in a manufacturing on the line who you want to move up into a machinist, you could apply through the Department of Labor for an apprenticeship program. You would do the hours, the actual hands-on hours with that student or that employee. And then you would need to have related classroom training. That related classroom training would be something that we could provide, and machinist is an area that we do have. So we could provide related instruction for a machinist apprentice. Through NCCC, they are non-construction. Colleges provide non-construction area apprentices. The construction area goes through, Mark Laurie was talking about the labor unions. The construction areas generally go through the labor unions for their apprenticeships. So I've listed out, there are a couple of lists here. One is the Department of Labor, and through the Department of Labor, apprenticeships and how to become an apprentice are listed out there. What apprentices are available, because there are a specific list of apprenticeable areas. So the Department of Labor has a machinist apprentice. They have a CNC machinist apprentice. But there are very specific areas that they do have under the Department of Labor, and that's New York State's website for apprenticeable areas. There is a link to a apprenticeship information for employers for from NVCC, which is Mohawk Valley Community College. They coordinate the SUNY apprenticeship grants. And so I'll talk slightly about that. There are grants for apprentices up to $5,000 that an employer can use. So if you decide you're going to go and hire someone, you hire someone, you're going to move them up as a machinist. It's going to take several years, but if some of that training can get paid for on the related instruction side through the Department of Labor or through a SUNY apprenticeship grant. There are also some funds through the Department of Labor, but through a SUNY apprenticeship grant, that can get paid for. There's some tax credits depending on the size of the employer. That information is listed through the link for MVCC. That is the second link there. We often get calls for other kinds of training through our department, through the workforce side. We are non-credit for all of our training, but we do, for companies, we do a lot of OSHA and other safety training that's required. So for instance, forklift training, if you have to certify people to work on a forklift, that's something we do. Security training is something we do. So if your security guards need 8-hour or 16-hour security training, that's something we do. We do heart saver, first aid, CPR, and AED training. In the medical field, nurses and other healthcare, dentists, other healthcare professionals need infection control training. We do have someone who does infection control training. We do notary training for someone to become a notary and be able to sign off on, like in banking, people frequently need to sign off on something and have it notarized. We have notary training, and so that's available too. Next slide. Next slide. Oh. It's okay. I'm just going to keep going. There's another slide that should be after this. A couple more. Okay. So we have some other kinds of training through workforce development directly for students. So we have driver education. We do car and motorcycles. So if you're interested in either of those programs, we do those. They're fairly good sized programs for us. We do extreme couponing. We have writing and publishing. We have home-based businesses. Those are more of the sort of interest area things that people can do. So that's a part of workforce development. And people who are interested in those can take those. But we also have a number of other programs. We have things that are career programs, like drone operator. So some of our students will come in and they'll want to become a drone operator. That is an area that is all over the place now. Agriculture, going over fields. I just saw a program last night where there were people in fire companies going over fires, the big fires you've heard about. They've sent drones over it with artificial intelligence to find the hot spots. How cool was that to be a part of something like that? Our instructor is someone who works on roadways, and they run roadways to see how the roadways look and to see damage and different things in repairing roadways. It is all over the place and just a growing field for students. Real estate uses it. It's just everywhere. We've used it here for different events. Our 60th anniversary, we had a drone operator take a picture of, in fact, it was our instructor who did the photograph that you see from Sky High on the front cover of our website. That was done by a drone operator. So there's work in that area. We have areas, I'm running out of time, so I'm going to go quick. We have sterile processing is a big program for us. Our EMT program and AEMT programs are big programs for us. We have pharmacy tech. A lot of students come to us for pharmacy tech. There are a lot of small pharmacies in Niagara County. If you're interested in getting someone trained in pharmacy, I have had people in pharmacy or pharmacists, small pharmacies cover the cost of tuition, which isn't astronomical for someone who's working in a different area to work as a pharmacy technician. And so they paid for the pharmacy technician certification for someone. And that ended them up with an employee. And when you do that, when you cover costs for employees, most employers find that they retain those employees. So those kinds of benefits are helpful in retaining employees. I know I went by a grocery store who at one point had $1,000 bonuses outside for people to sign up for pharmacy technicians. Our cost of our program is less than $1,000. So for students to pull someone from another area, if you're looking for a pharmacy technician and move them into that kind of program, that's a great fit. I have like 1 minute. We have a bunch of stuff for cannabis. If you're in the cannabis business, we have a cannabis grant. We run a whole conference on cannabis. We have workshops that are classes that people can take in the cannabis area, in the business of cannabis. There are a ton of different options on our website. Those all have scholarships attached to them that cover the cost of it, and that's through a cannabis grant that we have. We do get DOL grants for safety training. We haven't had one this year, but we will be looking to apply, I believe, next year. And so we'll be looking for industry partners. We send something out to the list of Niagara County businesses, but we definitely would take, if you're looking for training, definitely send me your information, and I would pass it on to the person who does that grant writing and include you in that submission should we submit for that. There are agencies that provide funding for our programs. There are all kinds of different agencies that provide funding for our programs. There's a workforce development training grant that we can apply for through SUNY to help employers pay for a program if you partner with us. And then I was talking a little bit about some of the scholarships. There are actually quite a few scholarships, both through agencies. There's an agency we're working with that does have scholarships for students. The cannabis has scholarships that cover the whole cost of those classes. If you take them on the workforce side, there are scholarships through our foundation. There are two small scholarships for students through our foundation as well. So those things are all available. The last thing I have on here, I'm checking the time, I'm 2 minutes over. Community education at NFCI has, if you're a restaurant, they have serve safe classes, they have cooking classes and demonstrations they do, and they do youth camps if you have a child who's interested in the cooking industry or learning to cook. They have some wonderful youth camps for students. I'm going to stop now because I realize I'm over time. Oh, wait, one more, sorry. I do want to get to this. We have a small business development center located on campus, and they do a ton of stuff for employees. I've listed out their upcoming classes that are free to employers who have less than 550 employees. Some of those are super good classes. I was looking at them and thinking like, boy, I'd like to know legal help for your business or taxes for your business or any of those. But they do classes. They are free. Employers can sign up. They do business consulting where you can work with them, and they will help you find grants and startup funding. They will help you put together a business plan. They can teach you how to get into selling to the government. They can teach you technology. They have one of the things that they do is they have occasionally the marketing and social media for small business. I am not a small business, but it is something we do through our program, and it's a great course. So they have all of that available to employers, and you can come in, take the course, and now I'll stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Alice. A lot of great information, and the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, is absolutely free. So please take advantage of that. Our final presenter this morning is Maureen Bartlett, who's the coordinator for adult education at Orleans Niagara BOCES.
Yes. Thank you. Can you everybody see my slides? Okay, excellent. Just wanted to start with a very short story just to indicate how closely this entire team works together. Last night we started an HVAC class with adults, and half of those students had been funded through Don's office. Additionally, we had a young man who works for NCCC who is deaf, and through Access VR, we had a translator there for him. So just an indication of how closely we all work together. I wear two hats at Orleans Niagara BOCES. I am the coordinator for adult education. I'm also an assistant principal at Niagara Career and Tech. I wanted to start with this training spectrum that when people talk to us, students talk to us about how to get trained or how to enter into the trades, I like to show them that there's a number of options. And starting with what Mark's doing over at Niagara Falls, what we're doing at our 11th to 12th grade programs is, kids who can get that training while they're still in public high school, and that's covered by the cost of the district. We also are partners with Goodwill, who offers a 4-week prep. I'm going to specifically be talking about our adult education program. As a couple of people mentioned, another opportunity is just to join a union or to go to NCCC, whether you're going for just a micro-credential or 1 to 4 semesters, all the way up through a bachelor's degree. So totally in agreement with Mr. Laurie that kids have a variety of ways to get a good life, and it's our duty to kind of show them those opportunities. So I'm going to be focusing very specifically on our adult education program. As Mark was pointing out, within the K-12 system, I think we do a very good job of getting students out the door and getting them either into college or a job. What we do in adult education is kind of help those folks that didn't manage to get that done by the time they finished high school. And we're kind of there to help them through that next step into college or a job. So one component of our adult ed is our 3 literacy zones. So literacy zones are specifically designed to help people get a GED, to get ESL, citizenship support. We are located in the urban hubs. So we are in downtown Lockport, we are in Medina, and we are in downtown Niagara Falls. Back to those programs. So a lot of students come in, they might be in their 20s, 30s, are now trying to get their GED and take that next step. So we bring them wherever they are and we get them through that GED, and oftentimes we hand them over to either a college or a training to get not only the GED, but the training for their next step. We also have a good partnership with NCCC at the jail. So for our incarcerated citizens, we offer GED, we do some online training. We also are now offering some NCCC courses there. We also work with the court system. So people who might be coming out of the court programs, whether that's in a drug court or another kind of court, we have programs to help those folks get through that and get to their next step. We also offer health sciences. So we offer a practical nursing program. That's a 12-month program in downtown Lockport. We have been offering nursing assistant programs in downtown Niagara Falls. And we offer phlebotomy, again, in downtown Niagara Falls. So for folks who might not be able to get out of the city or need to be on a bus route, we're right downtown. Hopefully they can get to us easily. In our skilled trades division, again, we have tried to make that for folks who might not have transportation. We offer an electrical program in downtown Lockport. We offer HVAC and an evening electrical program at Harrison Place in Lockport. Probably we're most known for our high school at Niagara Career and Tech, right next to NCCC, where we graduate about 500 students a year in a variety of trades. So as Mark said, we work very closely with Niagara Falls High School and the other local high schools so that we can offer training that the high schools maybe cannot afford to make that facility available. So for example, cosmetology or auto tech. Those are big, expensive programs to put together. So what we do in our high school level is offer that to any of the component high schools that are willing to bus to us. We do offer an adult auto repair program at night. And in downtown Niagara Falls, for adults, we offer a building trades class, a welding class, and a machining class. So here's just an example. And we are working again with Niagara Falls High School to look at how can we get kids into these trades earlier in the process. So sometimes you can't wait until they're 11th or 12th graders. We really need to be getting them that introduction to those trades as early as 4th, 5th grade. Definitely by 9th grade, we want people to have familiarity and knowledge of the kind of jobs that are out there. And then after high school, they can continue on whichever direction they want, whether that's into an apprenticeship, into a union, into further training, or straight into the job world. So again, I think this is something that we use a lot when folks talk to us as they're finishing whatever their high school education was. What's your next step going to be? There's lots of ways to get into the trade and get going. We like to say, here's your spectrum, whatever suits people's time and their resources. I think that's what we try to do. So just to wrap up what we do in adult and continuing education, we kind of have these three components to it: our literacy zone, our health science careers, and our skilled trades. And just again, wanted to give a thank you to all of our partners who make that happen for us. So, you know, we provide the training, and often it's Don's organization that's helping people get that training by providing services. And certainly we work with Access VR to make sure that anybody who has that kind of need can get their funding through Access VR.
Maureen, thank you so much. And we already knew how well everyone worked together. That's why we're here, right?
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna ask. We do have some additional workshops coming up this year, and there's a description of those workshops. Brownfield cleanup assistance is scheduled for October the 12th. We'll be hearing from Amy Schifferly in our office, the Brownfield program manager, as well as representatives from DEC, EPA, and National Grid, who has a brownfield cleanup assistance program. And then finally, we're going to wrap it up with our energy efficiency and low-cost power programs workshop on November the 8th. We'll be hearing from myself. We'll talk about the county's low-cost power program, Empower Niagara, and the New York Power Authority's programs, as well as energy efficiency programs from EIC PACE and National Grid. And finally, I'll ask Kathy if we have any questions in our Q&A panel.
I don't see any questions, but we do have a comment from Mom and Pop Web Stuff. Just wanted to let everybody know that they will be teaching a class on October 5th on websites for small businesses.
Okay. Thank you for that. I think that's it. And I want to, again, thank all of our presenters today. When you leave this session, you're going to be receiving a survey that'll appear in a new window of your internet browser. We definitely would appreciate your comments and feedback. We use them to help us shape our programs for coming years in our workshops. Again, thanks for attending. Thank you to all of our presenters. Everyone have a great day, and go Bills.